First of all, I would like to thank Yang Berhormat Dr Maszlee for taking time from his hectic schedule to be with us today. As an independent, private and not-for-profit think tank, ASLI has played an important role in nation building since its establishment in 1993. It consistently provides trusted insights to not only the government, the diplomatic community, and the business community, but also to civil society, academia, and the media. ASLI's vision is to create a better and just society. One avenue through which we carry out our mission is to serve as a bridge linking government with the other key stakeholders in the nation. Events such as the one today are a prime example of ASLI's renowned success in this role. I wish to state here that Tan Sri Michael Yeo is no longer with ASLI, and we have a new team under Malaysia Ong here. She and the team are committed to take ASLI to new heights and ensure that ASLI carries out its mission with integrity and competency. Ladies and gentlemen, education is very close to my heart. I am firmly convinced that education offers the best route out of poverty, a conviction I came to in my days growing up in a small town called Pusing in Perak. But of course, Pusing, my Malay friends will say Kapala Pusing, plenty of Kapala Pusing. Thank you. I witnessed the impact of poverty on families and how it closed off avenues for advancement and progress, especially in education for our future generation. Which is why, as soon as I was able to, I set up the Jeffrey Cheah Foundation, to which I endow in perpetuity all my equity in the Sunway Education Group. The gift was estimated at more than 720 million ringgit back then, and is currently valued in excess of 1 billion ringgit. The foundation is now Malaysia's largest education-focused social enterprise. I recall at that time how several investment bankers came to see me to convince me to list Sunway's education arm. They estimated that a public listing, which was a flavor of the day, would be worth several billion ringgit. It was tempting, as I'm a businessman, after all, but I have always been firmly convinced that education should be a not-for-profit venture. So I rejected their recommendation, and I have no regrets. Yes, a public listing would have been worth billions, but when students thank me personally for making their education possible, especially during graduation ceremonies, which I'm the Chancellor of Sunway University, that feeling is really priceless. The foundation has thus far disbursed more than 400 million ringgit in scholarships and grants to tens of thousands of deserving Malaysian students. It is my goal to give more than 1 billion ringgit in my lifetime. Ladies and gentlemen, reflecting on the current global trends, I wonder whether our largely analog-era education system is adequately preparing our children for the digital age. To be relevant, we must continuously innovate to keep pace with the rapidly changing world. And one of the most important attributes needed to drive in the current environment is a mindset focused on lifelong learning. Graduation is not the end of the journey, but merely marks a milestone in the passage of life. To quote the futurist Alvin Toffler, and I quote, "The illiterates of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn." It is not my intention this morning to recite a laundry list of concerns regarding our current education system. All of us here, in particular, Yang Berhormat Ministers, are aware of the challenges we face in this very important and vital sector. In several statements, the government, including the Prime Minister and Yang Berhormat Minister, has acknowledged that education reform is no longer an option, but an urgent imperative. I welcome this willingness to re-examine how we teach, what we teach, and where we teach. This is particularly relevant at a time when technology is advancing at a rapid pace. In fact, the World Economic Forum predicts that 65% of the children entering primary school today will eventually work in jobs that do not even exist now. Which is why lifelong learning must become a habit. We need an education system that nurtures our children's imagination, curiosity, creativity, and critical thinking skills. In this context, and given the immense challenges involved, I am of the opinion, that's my opinion, that the government may want to consider setting up a high-powered committee on education chaired by the Prime Minister of the day. It would be grossly unfair to place this burden solely on the shoulders of Yang Berhormat Minister. I suggest that the committee include all relevant ministries and representatives from other key stakeholders, industry, civil society, community associations, experts, and youth groups. In effect, this will be a committee that oversees the knowledge sector from a holistic perspective. It would identify strategic objectives, specify and monitor implementation plans, and most importantly, measure outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, education is just not about preparing our children for their material well-being. It goes beyond that. Education should also be about preparing our children to live a life of purpose. In this context, I support the call by the Prime Minister and Yang Berhormat Ministers that our education system must encompass the teaching and instilling of good values in our children. And there is a need to nurture qualities such as integrity, empathy, tolerance, leadership, teamwork, and inclusiveness. The latter is especially important at a time when growing polarization along the lines of race and religion threatens to undermine our nation. It is also important that we instill in our young the important values of giving back to society and becoming model citizens. Given the state of our world, I would recommend the inclusion of Sustainable Development Agenda in the curriculum of our educational institution. As we all know, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals adopted by the United Nations in 2015 provide a comprehensive list of goals for a planet that appears to be heading for destruction. A few weeks ago, I was appointed the chairman of Sustainable Development Solution Network United Nations for the Malaysian chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, I trust the dialogue today will provide some substantive recommendations for the government to consider. And my personal motto is, I aspire to inspire before I expire. It is my hope that what we are doing here at Sunway and through the Jeffrey Cheah Foundation will encourage more of our wealthy citizens to give back to society through education. I trust that by working together, we can restructure our education system. Our children must be armed with more than just knowledge and skills when they venture into the wider world. Education must also instill in them a love for lifelong learning. It should teach them to make their way through life with integrity as their guide, humility as their virtue, and the pursuit of excellence as their choice. With that, I thank you.
Thank you, Yang Bahagia Tan Sri Dr. Jeffrey Cheah, for an inspirational and illuminating address. Now, for our highlight, I would like to invite Yang Berhormat Dr Maszlee Malik, Minister of Education, Malaysia, to give his ministerial keynote address.